What's going on, everybody? It is sad when your own intro makes you feel sad because it shows better times. Because right now, there's not a lot of good stuff to talk about, but me and Roger are here to talk about it anyways. Hope everybody's having a great Thursday evening. Raj wants to watch that Monday Night Football matchup, so we're on here a little bit early tonight, which is great. I have no problem with that. How is everything going, Raj?
Good. It's Thursday night football. Yeah, I want to watch Packers Lions today. I'm hyped up for that match. But I'm actually you're gonna think I'm so crazy today because I know last week I wasn't as positive, but I'm actually I think the Niners are winning the NFC West. I'm on that run. I'm on that positive run. They call me crazy. It's happening. Niners gonna win it. They're gonna win like 4 out of their next 5. The NFC West is all gonna battle each other up, but we'll talk about it. I'm feeling good.
Man, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, but I don't feel as confident. I feel like this game is a win probably just because the Bears are bad, but my mind is I've already kind of turned off. I've kind of started looking to the off season, to be honest with you, Raj. Maybe I'm a little early. That is still about 5 games left, so there's some injury news to talk about. We should probably get onto it. It looks like, and I'll let you kind of talk about it. We got looks like Talanoa Hufanga essentially has been cleared to play Sunday against the Chicago Bears. I know Greenlaw's been practicing. It doesn't look like they've exactly done the same thing for Greenlaw, but was Jair Brown that bad, Raj, that they had to bring back Talanoa Hufanga?
He really hasn't taken that year 2 leap that we thought, because Talanoa Hufanga in his year 2, he took a leap. He was all pro, right? People forget about that. I know Hufanga hasn't looked good. He came out with the club on his hand. He's like, okay, I got a rep. So he was cleared to practice this week. I don't know if he's going to play, but it's trending in the right direction. Deommodore Lenoir practiced this week. He was upgraded to full. He missed last week. He was limited yesterday. He had a knee issue, so he'll be back. But there are some other big injuries. Obviously, Nick Bosa, he didn't practice today. Trent Williams, he didn't practice today. Aaron Banks, he didn't practice today. But Aaron Banks, to me, honestly, last week, Ben Barch came in, and he played really good. So I'm not too worried about Aaron Banks. He's been banged up all year. Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, those are big. And then obviously earlier in the week, the 49ers lost Christian McCaffrey to the PCL injury and Jordan Mason to the high ankle. Like that was salt on the wounds. It's like, okay, you knew you were losing Christian McCaffrey. That was terrible. I was like, God dang it, man. He came all the way back just to be done for the season. And then on top of it, you lose the running back. That's, his handcuff, his crutch, and he goes onto the IR. Most likely he's going on the IR. They haven't officially done it, but he's going on the IR with a high ankle. Those take about 6 weeks. We know those. Remember in 2020, everybody had a high ankle. And now running back one, the rookie, Isaac Arenda.
Yeah. I saw something. I actually have a video to play, but essentially there's people out there that are saying like, hey, did the the Achilles tendonitis have anything to do with the knee injury? And the speculation, I mean, it of course it would be there because of just like how much it had to happen, or he had to go through in order to get back on the field. And then of course, he starts to look like himself in Buffalo in a game that we got absolutely boat raced, and then he gets hurt. And essentially, Nirav Pandya, who's a doctor, he's like the radio doctor. Like he comes on all the shows and talks about any of the injury situations going on. This is what he had to say about the connection or a lack thereof of a connection between the injury and the Achilles tendonitis.
I know a lot of people wanted to know this. Is in any way what happened with the PCL potentially related to what he had been dealing with the Achilles tendonitis over the last few months?
Yeah, I think they're completely unrelated. I mean, in general, the only way you really do injure your PCL is if you're in a car accident and you're kind of the front part of your shin hits the dashboard, or you have a direct blow on the knee on the ground like he had in that game. So highly unlikely for any kind of Achilles issue to be connected with that PCL. I think it was just bad luck. He fell on it. I don't think there's anything that could have been done to prevent it besides not falling down on really hard ground in the cold. So just one of those unfortunate things that happens to a player, and it happens to be that he had Achilles tendonitis as well too. But I think this would have happened regardless of whether he had Achilles tendonitis or not.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I said the same when I saw the injury. I remember it was hyperflexion, and that's the mechanism of injury for a PCL, because ACL is usually hyperextension with lateral movement, with MCL attached or whatever. And I saw that, I was like, it's not good. That probably PCL, and it's totally unrelated. He's absolutely right. It was probably an isolated incident. Probably, I think the frustrating thing about having CMC back was, Aaron, was he wasn't 100%. He was like trying to get to be where he needed to be. He kind of felt like he was breaking out in Buffalo, and he puts himself in this like position where he wants to be the GOAT. He's like Mamba mentality. He's like, I gotta play. I can't take a playoff. So like, I definitely feel like he was putting himself in tough spots. Like he didn't want to not take plays off. They should have gave Jordan Mason the ball more, or Isaac Randall more. But definitely you can't say that the Achilles was the reason he had that PCL. It's exactly what he said. It is the most bad luck injury, because nobody tears. PCL is so rare compared to ACL in any sport. And like you said, I remember my board exam, the question was, this guy, there was an injury scenario. Answer was PCL, because it was the dashboard car accident injury. Like that is that's like textbook mechanism of injury.
So how does it go? Is it because there's a blow to the kneecap, or is it the pressure that happens when the blow happens and causes the knee to?
So it's like you have that flexion, but it puts pressure on the posterior aspect, because that aspect, the posterior is trying to prevent those forces. So when you have that pressure up front, it pushes all the way back, and it basically pulls on the PCL. It's like in the ACL, when you hyperextend, it's the opposite. You're putting all that pressure on the ACL, and then it just like it snaps.
It wasn't a tear, it looks like, either. It was a strain.
It was a strain, but I mean, I'm sure it got close to it. I mean, man, did you see how I just fell on it? Because initially when they showed the video, the next play, everybody thought was like, oh my God, because he knew it. He knew right away. He fell down, and he just was like, I gotta go. And he gets up and he walks off to the medical tent. So everybody thought, yeah, that was the moment. But it was the play before that.
Everyone was thinking it was an Achilles.
Yeah, I mean,
because Achilles, when those injuries happen, Achilles, a lot of times guys just fall. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's definitely it. I mean, it definitely was a logical assumption. I mean, I think a lot of people are like, oh my God, Achilles, if you see the calf, But when you go back, and I remember going back and watching the game, and I was like, oh, I didn't even see, like, things were happening so fast. For me, I'm like posting content and stuff. And when I went back and I watched it, I was like, oh crap, he flexed his knee. That could be PCL. And then they said it was PCL. And then the next morning, they confirmed.
Did you see the letter that he put out? I think it was on Instagram.
Yeah.
That was, man,
that's sad, man.
So sad. Football is his life, bro.
Yeah, that's it. That's his life.
His wife is and his faith is probably like one, and football is so closely beneath all of that. There's a lot of guys that we can talk about on this team who maybe we think don't take it seriously, and maybe since the season has been going a certain way that maybe guys are already checked out. There's certain individuals on this team, him, Warner, Bosa, Brock, like a smattering of other players who take it really, really Kittle. And those are the ones you hurt for the most, because it affects their mental psyche, because football is like an integral part of their life. For some guys, it's a way to make money, and when they get hurt, it's like, oh, like when you see Brandon Ayuk, he doesn't look so sad. He doesn't look real sad right now, being hurt.
I see all his content on YouTube and TikTok. He just posts. He doesn't. I don't know. He's weird, man. But yeah, CMC, I'm reading this post. He goes, you can feel sorry for yourself and listen to the birds, or you can hold the line. He says, I'm grateful for the support of everyone in my corner, and I promise I'll work smarter and harder than ever to come back better than this. Like he goes, this wasn't my year. And sometimes when it rains, it pours. Like you could just tell, like he put so much into this damn season, Aaron. And it's just like, it just didn't go his way. I feel so bad for him. I feel so incredibly bad for the guy. I do.
I don't even know how to go about this, but we've had so much. I wanted to talk about the tragedy that has been the 49ers season and just everything that's gone on. You've had, you had the shooting of Ricky Parasol almost losing his life, gets shot, right? That was a big thing. On top of all the contract negotiations. And then you have two players within maybe a month's span lose children, one a 1-year-old and one is a stillbirth. And you start to kind of, I don't know if you've done this, but like, I don't know, it kind of takes a little bit of the sting off of how bad things are being when you realize that like these people are dealing with, otherworldly problems on top of, having a bad year in the profession that they get paid to play in. So it's been, man, people wanted to compare 2020 to 2024. There's no comparison.
There's none. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay, the season's been tough. There's been injuries, and all the players, Debo, all these. I've been listening to their press conferences, Fred Warner, and they're like, you can't really put on injuries. Like, there's other teams that are injured. Look at the Lions; they got a lot of players that are injured. Like, they're being very respectful, knowing the fact that you can't put it on an injury because they still have great talent in the roster. Diamo Lenore today said, we still have really good players in the roster. Like, we still should be winning these games. They know it. And it's frustrating because there's more to life than just football. And it's showing these guys are not just losing, games because of injuries. They're losing games because of personal issues. And it really puts things into perspective. So, yeah, the season's tough, Aaron. But, I mean, I can't imagine what Mooney Ward's going through. Ricky Persall, what he went through. Trent Williams now, what he's going through. That's so sad. And then today on the one of the press conferences, Chris Forster, the offensive line coach, he revealed that his wife died a week before the freaking Super Bowl, and now he's wearing, his My Claws, My Cleats, his cleats for the game. His shoes are going to be for ovarian cancer to like raise awareness. His wife died a week. So now we know, like, we didn't know this. He was actually coaching in the Super Bowl a week after his wife lost her life due to ovarian cancer. So it's like, man, you can't. Yeah, it sucks that they lost. It sucks that they've been losing this year, but there's so much going on to this team. Like, you could tell it's like mentally, this team has been going through so much. It's not just like they're physically hurt. Mentally, these guys are wounded, man. And credit to them for going out there and trying to play.
Been seeing this a lot from fans and media, like saying that this team looks like a team that's just burned out. Kyle after that Buffalo game, wow. Kyle looked like he looks rough.
He's weathered. He looks like he's aged.
He looks very weathered. Me and Kyle are the same age. We were born on the same day, December 14th, 1979. I kind of look my age too. If I got rid of the beard and got close up, you could see the wrinkles around my eyes. But and then here's something that I've been hearing, and it's not that I'm mad at the players for saying this, but when they say the record doesn't indicate who we really are, it is though, guys. It does. And it's okay.
Yeah.
To admit, I hate hearing that. Like, we're 5-7, but it doesn't indicate what kind of team we really have.
Well, I think what it is, Aaron, is they know how good this team is. They know, like, they could have 8 wins if they would have won their division games. Arizona, LA, and Seattle. They should have won those games. They blew them. So I think that's what they're kind of saying. But to your point is, yeah, they've blown games. They've been playing piss poor special teams, turnovers, penalties, run defense, like all these issues. It's been the same for 13 weeks now. So it's not like, yeah, they've been playing pristine, but no, they're playing pretty poorly. So yeah, I see what you're saying.
Their defense has been historically bad. I saw, and props to John Chapman, man, he did a breakdown on some of the Niners defensive breakdowns against the Bills. I heard something from Kyle that pissed me off a little bit because it made it sound like he's overlooking our defensive coordinator, Sorensen. I want a Rodgers perspective. Is there any way in hell that Sorensen keeps his job going into 2025?
I hope not, but I mean, Kyle likes him. He's saying all this good stuff. I like the guy. It's not his scheme, but I think he's also saying that because they still have an outside chance. You don't want to just like throw your damn coach under the bus right now. I think that'd be the bad thing to do. I think you'd really lose. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of confidence in general, Nick Sorensen. I believe in himself. He's still figuring things out. He's never been a defensive coordinator. He's so lost out there. If Kyle were to throw him under the bus like that, I think he knows his mind is so fragile right now. He would be like, oh, what the hell? So like today, I was watching the press conference. Oh God, I despise Nick Sorensen, Aaron. I despise this guy. Like he couldn't even come up with an answer. I think Larry Krueger asked him like, how do you fix the run defense? How do you fix the
Larry's the one guy that you want to have not be short.
He's
He's
I don't know.
Articulate.
Bro, Nick Sorensen couldn't come up with the correct, like he just doesn't sound intelligent out there. He's like so befuddled. He's like, wow, it's the same problem with the pass defense. He's like he listed every problem they have, but he didn't give a solution to it. And the question was, how do you fix it? He's like, I don't know, man. I really don't know. I'm just like, this guy, he's so clueless. So to me, Aaron, if Nick Sorensen's the defensive coordinator in 2025, that we're asking for trouble. I mean, yeah, maybe he could get better, but you need a bona fide quality, like stud defense, like a guy that just knows football. And maybe, just maybe, Aaron, the 49ers need to change it up a little. Maybe the wide 9 isn't right. Maybe the scheme is bad. Like Nick Bosa's not there. Okay. You don't have Nick Bosa. You cannot run this freaking system without Nick Bosa. Like he is your like leader of the pack on this wide 9. Like he's the guy that makes it tick. Like that's why you have the wide 9, because you have that speed off the edge. You don't have him. You got nobody. Crash inside, blitz, be more exotic. He's not changing it up. Get a different defensive scheme. It's not working.
A lot of people keep saying Saleh to bring back Saleh. My buddy Al, 49ers Plus Pod, he just doesn't think that Saleh would go backwards.
I agree.
It would be a demotion to go backwards, to be, if anything, Saleh. I don't think Saleh is head coach material, and that's not because I don't think he's. I just think some guys are better suited to be coordinators. I don't know if he has the gravitas to handle certain things. He's not necessarily football smart in all aspects, except really for defense, and that's okay. I mean, to me, the Niners need to bring in a personality next year. It cannot be an in-house hire. It has to be somebody. And I know we're talking about next year because the defense is historically bad this year. DVOA, all these numbers. People try to make cases of it. Well, this is actually not bad. And guys, it's bad. It's really bad. And yes, they're down a lot of players, but sometimes a smart defensive coordinator can schematically figure out things. The 2022 defense, the year we went up against the Rams in LA, that was the year that we had, I forget it. Our secondary was pretty bad that year, and we still had a pretty decent defense going in to the conference championship game against the Rams. And a lot of it just had to do with, some schematical things we were doing. I mean, if you don't have the schematic and then you double down with no players, man, when I heard Kyle kind of give him a pass, the first person I thought about was you, because I know the previous stream we were like, get rid of this guy, move this guy out of here. I don't want him here. And then it sounded like Kyle was kind of softening the blow for this guy. And I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah, man. It's like, well, I don't know. I feel like they're I've said this all season. It's like they're holding his hand. They're coddling him.
Same thing with the Moody.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, I get it. He's a new DC. I think they settled with Sorensen. I know they swung for the fence. They try to get bigger guys. We know it. Like, now looking back, there's been reports they try to get Spags, Belichick. I don't know if they try to get Vrabel. I wish they did. The guy on the Jets, who's now their interim coach, Aldrich, they try to get him, but he's like, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to, and I love Salah. I would love to get him back, but he's not coming back he's done there. And I know he probably wants to be a head coach. I think he will eventually take a DC job to prove himself again, and then show people like, yeah, I'm a good ass coach. Hire me. So I think that's kind of the route he's going to look. I don't think he goes back with the Niners. Like, why go back to a team? You already proved yourself. You already know what you could do. And I think the Niners, they need a fresh start with a new system, because this is the thing. The wide 9, whatever defense scheme you've been doing for these last 8 years, it's not working. It's not getting you to the Super. It's not winning the Super Bowl. It might have got you there, but you had good defensive coordinators that knew how to adjust in the second half. D'Amico, Salah, and to an extent, Steve Wilkes. But Sorensen's not the guy. They settled. They tried to get the in-house guy because that's the PC move. Once they try to swing for the fences, because they interviewed a lot of people. There was a couple of people in-house, and Sorensen was the squeaky clean guy they got. And they brought in Brandon Staley, who's the assistant. Well, I don't know what he does. He's on the payroll. I don't know if he does anything, but
I haven't seen him all year. They
the
never show him in
mistake-
the box or anything.
Yeah, they don't even. I don't even see him. I see him on pictures with with Kyle Shanahan sometimes. Now, the mistake they made, Aaron, the mistake they made this offseason was not going through and hiring Vic Fangio because he was one of the people they were looking into. But Vic Fangio wanted to change the defense, and Kyle's like, "Well, I want to stay. I want to keep.
I want to protect my baby players who can't."
Yeah.
For
So he
that's
kept.
yeah.
So he kept Sorensen in-house move. Look what Vic Fangio's doing with the Philadelphia Eagles. He changed them. They were a soft toilet paper team
Off
last
as
year.
a baby's ass, man.
And look, Vic Fangio fixed them. They should have got Vic Fangio.
There's something about, and I don't know what it is, but there's something about this organization. I love the Niners. And no, I'm not blind to the fact that, Kyle Shanahan has some issues. I'm not quite there yet to say, oh, we got to fire Shanahan and we got to do this and get rid of Brock Purdy all that stuff. But there is a fundamental thing that's wrong with this organization that gets to me, is that the coach and the players and John Lynch all have the same sentiment and say, we're not what our record indicates that we are. And I'm like, yes, you are. This living in the past thing, because we did it before, means that what you're seeing, it's almost like they're making an excuse. Like what you're seeing this year, it's not really who we are.
It
is who you are.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Bill Parcells said, and it's a fame. Everybody knows that you are what your record says that you are.
Yeah.
The Niners were a 500 team all year. They can't hold, like they'd be up in games. They can't hold teams out from scoring at the end.
Yeah.
They blow leads consistently. Their special teams has been absolutely egregious all season. That mindset, when I listen to it and I love listening to John Lynch interviews on KNBR or 95.7 The Game. All those guys, they all do great jobs, and I love when. But I can't anymore, dude. I can't. I don't know. What is your take on that? Is that just like an organizational, like they all kind of toe the company line? What's up, Bash?
I mean, they can't sit there and be doomsday. They can't all be like you, Aaron. Imagine if John Lynch came on KNBR and just started going, no, we aren't what we say we are. Like, they got to give the fans some type of lips. They got.
You mean they can't be real with themselves? They have to be fake.
They got fans to sell tickets to. They still got to like sell the. At the end of the day, at 5-7, I know they're out. They got to be like me. They got to be like, oh, we still got a chance. We got to win. Like that's the outlook you want to have if you're a franchise owner, a team.
It is, and people will
come watch. It is hard.
Yeah.
But as a fan, we can sit here and rip them. We can be like, y'all, y'all, this, that. That's what we do. That's what content creators do. They go in and they criticize because they're not tied with the team. Essentially, they can let their opinions, aired out. That's what the media does. That's
even some that are tied with the team still criticize them all the time.
Well, yeah, some of them do because that's what their MO. But I mean, the media, the fans outside is going to criticize, but internally, as a team, as a franchise, you got to protect your product, and you have to figure out. I'm sure they're going through meetings, film reviews, and figure it. I'm sure they're pissed, but they have to keep it PC and say, hey, look, man, we know we love our team. I'm sure they love each other. I'm sure they've went to war with each other. They've been to battle. They've been fighting this fight for years together. So yeah, they're like a family. Families get frustrated, but when the media is going to talk to you, you got to keep it 100, and you got to say, look, man, we still believe in Christian McCaffrey. We still believe he could come back. They did. They thought he could come back. We thought he did. He did come back. Just it wasn't his year, like he said. And every player believes they can be that guy, and every week is different. You never know. Look, the Browns, they beat the Ravens this year. They beat the Steelers this year. They had no right beating those teams, but you just never know. If you band together every week, you never know. And then that's what the team needs to do, is give them some hope. Now, if they lose to Chicago, there's definitely no sugarcoating. And John Lynch can just say, hey, look, it wasn't the season we expected. We're not where we want to be. We got to figure it out next year. At that point, if you lose to Chicago this weekend, Aaron, then I think the team's going to switch gears and say, all right, we're going to try and play our best, but we know we got to focus on next year because we're not making the playoffs at this point. If you don't beat Chicago, kiss the season goodbye at this point. I mean, there's still a glimmer of hope, but I don't think they're ready to go down that line yet. There's a lot of questions in the offseason. Brock Purdy, who are they going to keep? Are they going to keep Greenlaw? Are they going to keep Hufanga? And that's why they need to come back because you have to evaluate him. And people are like, oh, shut down Greenlaw, shut down Hufanga. You kind of need to see what you have
in
left.
a way, Hufanga, I hate, and I know people aren't going to think this is a popular bit. If Hufanga plays well in these last couple games, I wouldn't be shocked if the Niners brought him back next year.
They might
on a cheap deal.
Yeah,
because Jair Brown has taken such a massive step back. His effort against the Bills, his tackling. Damn. I mean, dude, do you want to play? Like putting an arm out there and just kind of letting a guy go by you? Oh, man. I mean, I stayed pretty calm during the game. Yeah, I can do that, and I'm old. I stayed pretty calm during that game, but I was just because I had the game muted because whatever. That was about as poor of an effort as I've seen a guy try to tackle a guy going off the edge. And so, I wasn't surprised that they gave up a huge long touchdown. I wanted to kind of switch gears to the ever-present situation with Brock Purdy and the media talk right now and content creators and a lot of them are doing it, and they're not doing it. I mean, it's just everybody. We can't there's no way we can pay Brock $60 million. We can't do this. We can't do that. Maybe they need to, who was the other guy? I think it was Nick Wright said the Niners definitely, because if they pick in the top 10, should look at drafting a quarterback. That was Nick Wright, whatever. They talked about it on, I think it was 95.7 the game. No, actually it might've been, I think it was 95%. And they talked about that situation coming up and having to pay Brock Purdy. So I want to get your comments after.
Tim Kawakami with us here, Willard and Dibs. Tim, how do you think this year, with all its complexities, has affected the way the organization views Brock Purdy and plans for next year?
Yeah, I mean, it's a week-to-week thing. I think that, they value Brock Purdy. Listen, it's the big picture is that he's won a ton of games. He's put up a huge stats. He's won 4 playoff games. I mean, these are things that are done. They're on the record book. You can't say that about very many quarterbacks in this league, and quarterbacks are expensive. They know this. If he'd had another great year like he had last season, maybe it's $60 million a year. You're going to have to pay it at the top of the market. Probably not that now, but again, he's going to ask for whatever he's going to ask for. If you turn away from Brock Purdy now, where are you? Right? I mean, Sam Darnold's your quarterback next year? I don't think they want to go down that path. I think it's pretty clear that the future is Brock Purdy at quarterback. He's going to turn 25 pretty soon. That's very young for a quarterback who's has many starts as he's had, who's won as many games in as many big environments as he's had. Has he had some iffy moments this season? Absolutely. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Josh Allen. I think we kind of knew that going into the season. Maybe you want to see more from him, but maybe that means it's $50 million a year instead of $60. Maybe they can get him at $40. I don't know. Again, I'm not going to do negotiations here, but I think he's going to be back. I think they're going to sign him to a long-term deal. Maybe the dollars drop a little bit, but I don't know that he was going to put a gun to their head and make them pay him like as much as Dak Prescott did to the Cowboys, or we've seen other teams do. I just don't think that was the way this was going to go. I think it was going to go to a very reasonable way. Again, I'm not negotiating the deal, so maybe his agent and the Purdy group have different ideas. Maybe the 49ers have different ideas, but I think he's a long-term answer. I'll put it this way. He's a long-term answer if Kyle Shanahan's your long-term coach. Now, if there are any questions about that in Jed York's mind, maybe you back off a Purdy deal at this moment. I don't think he has those questions, and I don't think he has those questions about Brock Purdy either. It's just saying, if you're going to a new coach in a year, then maybe you're not so committed to paying Brock Purdy $55 million a year off into the next, 6 years. I don't think that's the way this was going to go. I think this is going to be Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy into 2025, if you are committed to that. And if you're not, then you're talking about a rebuild. And I don't know if you want to tell that to Nick Bosa, George Kittle, Fred Warner, and everyone else. Then you're going to go in it with a long-term deal, every intent, I guess, for a long-term deal for Brock Purdy. And then you go into 2025 knowing who you got your quarterback. And I think they want to feel that way.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's the way I look at it. As long as Kyle is your coach, that's his quarterback, because quarterback and coach go hand in hand. I feel like that's his guy. He's kind of committed to him. We feel like he has, he's put his eggs in Brock Purdy basket. He went through a couple of years Jimmy G, Trey Lance. He finally drafted Brock. He was that late round pick. They got him, and he ended up being the quarterback out of all those guys. So it's Kyle's guy. As long as Kyle's back, for sure, he's the quarterback. Now, if another coach comes, they trade Kyle, whatever happens, if Kyle's out of there, then yeah, a new coach is going to say, Brock's not my fucking guy. You know, every coach is going to get their quarterback, run their system. So Tim's right on that. But I definitely see Brock sticking around. The players love him, right? He's the leader. He's a captain. Fred Warner's talked highly of him. George Kittle loves him. You know, everybody on this team loves Brock Purdy. The fans love him. He's won games. I just don't think he's going to get $60 million, which I know is the market value. That's the way he's got to get paid. He's played good, but I think that's where the issue might come. And I think the 49ers also have to insulate themselves and get a good backup quarterback because they don't have a good backup quarterback this year. I think that was an issue. You know, Brandon Allen, Dobbs, maybe he's a good backup. We don't know because they don't give him an opportunity. But that's going to be the key is get a good backup quarterback because injuries have really kind of happened over the years. I know Brock got hurt this year, but it hasn't really impacted him a lot. He's been able to play, but he did have an injury this year. We know the UCL a couple years back in the NFC Championship game. Last year, he had a couple of concussions. So definitely need to make sure you get some good insurance for him. But I don't think they go $60 million, especially if you want to continue to be a contending team. Because over these last couple of years, they had all this highly paid guy, this stacked roster, and a cheap quarterback, right? Now you're going to have to pay your quarterback, but you can't pay him $60 million because then you'll cripple yourself. So I think they'll pay him between $40 to $50 million. I think that's fair. I think that's cool for him. But the other issue is don't wait. Don't get into like the whole, the whole contracts holdouts. Like if they get to that point again with Brock, then we're screwed. If your quarterback isn't in training camp, you're cooked.
That's a huge red flag if they take a long time to sign him and they let him kind of flounder out there in the wind. They need to get on that as soon as possible. Kyle, figure out what you're doing. Some people have made a comment like maybe Kyle steps away. He looks burnt out. What happens if he does that? I think anything between 40 and 50 million would be okay. He's not an elite quarterback. We all know that. There's a lot of people out there that seem to think that 49er fans think that we have some sort of second coming of Joe Montana out there at quarterback. We all know that Mahomes and we all know about Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow and Josh Allen are like the cream of the crop. There's 28 teams in the NFL that have the same issue the 49ers do, and I think a lot of people have to realize that like the best way for the 49ers to compete with Brock Purdy is to build a really good team around him, and he can steer that ship. It's not like with other teams where you can have no talent, but you still have a quarterback that can run around and make plays and do all this crazy stuff. Brock's not that guy, unfortunately, but we already knew that.
He can kind of extend plays with his leg. He's shown that more because the old line's been dog trash this year. So
the offensive line, listen, if the Niners go into this offseason and prioritize protection on Brock and they go get a future left tackle, start at right tackle with Trent, maybe you get a new center, maybe Ben Bartch, who knows?
I like Bartch.
Very important next couple games for Ben Bartch. If Ben Bartch plays well, goodbye.
Eric Banks is gone.
You're gone.
Ben Bartch, because he's on a cheap deal.
Yeah.
And he's good. He was a really good prospect. He just got injured a couple years back, and the Niners took a flyer on him, and they let him recuperate. This guy's really good. He was actually one of the better prospects coming out of college the year he was drafted.
Yeah.
Now, that to me is the key, Aaron. Like, you pay, whatever you're going to pay Brock, you need to make sure you have money to solidify the O-line, because if he's running for his life, it doesn't matter. Any quarterback, for that matter, you need to protect your investment, your quarterback. They're the highest paid player on your team.
They've gone cheap very for a while now. The Niners have not prioritized offensive line, and it every year they have some issue with the quarterback getting injured. It went back as far as 2020, and it's still happening. It's happened before that.
Exactly. Yeah, get a good center, because Jake Brendel, he's not it.
The Niners have about, going in the next season, they're going to have about $50 million under the cap. And then you're going to look
at pay Brock.
But they're also not going to resign certain guys too. So that cap number is going to grow. The Niners are not going to be bereft of money. You're right, though. They got to have it. And I have all the confidence in the world that The Niners are really good with their contracts. You look at a lot of 49er contracts, they seem like they're player friendly, but they're usually organizationally friendly. That's just how they do it. The Niners never put themselves in a position, other than maybe say like D Ford and a smattering of other players, where they're holding on to a bunch of money after the fact, after a guy's left their team. So important offseason for Brock. I just think you can't. If you were to back out on Brock now, it would be a huge mistake. Because like he said, you'd have to go on a full-on rebuild.
Well, then that's the thing. Yeah, if you pull out on Brock, you're gonna have to hold a whole new quarterback, whole new it's just you've already built this team around Brock. And again, if Kyle's your coach, you need to stick with that. Now, that would be crazy. Now, again, if Kyle leaves, whatever, if something happens, then I could see that coming. But that to me, all signs point to Brock and Kyle being here next year, and they get to roll it and see what they could do again. But build the O-line, fix that D-line. They got to revamp a few things here and there, but yeah, I think Brock's going to be the guy here, and he's done great things. And considering his contract now, and considering where it's probably going to be, this might be one of the biggest leaps in contract in NFL history. I don't know the numbers exactly. I mean, of course, we don't know how much Brock's
going for what he's making right now,
but I'm sure that's going to be a tweet. That's going to be a post of wow, Brock Purdy went from 1 million to whatever 50 million. It's going to be a talking point. Like, man, this guy made the biggest leap in salary in NFL history, most likely. Like, it's all going to be crazy. It's all going to be part of his story. And I think the Niners are ready to do that. But again, how much will he get paid? That's going to be the question. These next couple of games, like I know a lot of people say, oh, they don't matter, tank. Brock's not going to tank, man. He's going to play his ass off because he's trying to get paid. This contract year, these last 5 games, they matter. They mean something to this man. They mean something to this team.
You just got to get people around him to make it matter too. Because it sucks if your quarterback's going out there gun ho on trying to play good, and you got other people who are sulking and carrying themselves around like Debo, who just want the season to be over and don't give 2 shits about anything. I have some players, they say a bunch of stuff when they're talking, but their attitude when they're on the field and their effort and their film on them is completely different. What is your take on all the talk that you get from everybody saying that Kyle Shanahan needs to go? They need to bring in a new coach. What do you say to the people that say that? Because nobody's saying that Kyle is above reproach and that he can't be replaced. That's not what anybody says. I don't say that. But I'm always of the mindset, if you're going to make a move like that, that move has to be almost a guarantee that you're bringing in someone who's going to get us over the top.
Yeah, you got to know.
It can't be a lateral move like a you know what I mean? Like, what is your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. A lot of fans are frustrated. Kyle's been here for 8 years. He's had 4 winning seasons. This could be his 4th losing season, depending on how it finishes out. Been stressful, a lot of injuries. They haven't got it done. They've went to a lot of big games. Kyle really changed the culture. He did bring winning to this team. He created a good roster, but there's been mistakes. Every team's going to make mistakes. I feel like obviously fans are frustrated with them and they want a fresh start. I feel like they want a clean slate because I think they don't think that Kyle's going to be able to deliver the Super Bowl. And maybe he won't, but at least he gets the team competitive. It's kind of like the Andy Reid situation. I've said this many times. He's like Andy Reid. He just couldn't get the Eagles over the hump. They fired him, and then boom, the rest is history. He figured it out with Kansas City, got a good quarterback. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, if you do really want to walk away from Kyle, which I don't care either way, I would be cool with keeping him because I think he has been a good coach. I would be cool with letting him go. But if you do, Aaron, like you said, you have to make sure you get someone that you're like, oh, wow, that's a home run hire. It's the 49ers. They can't be messing around with trash hires like Jim Tomsula, Jim Kelly. You can't go to those movements. Those were bad, experiments. But
when you ask these people that make these blanket statements, they don't have anybody.
Well, they all say Ben Johnson, but I don't think Ben Johnson is going to come to the Lions.
To me, he's a flavor of the week. He's like Eric Bieniemy. Everybody thought Eric Bieniemy was going to be
like Ken Dorsey a couple years back, but I think Ben Johnson. I think he's a good OC. He's young, but I think he's going to chase the money and he's going to go to. There's a lot of bad teams out there, and they're going to pay him a lot of money. And I don't know if the 49ers would pay a new head coach like that the money. And I think the 49ers, though, here's the thing. A lot of people are saying, oh, you get rid of Kyle, you're going to go back to those Jim Tomsula days and blah, blah, blah. I don't think that. I think the Niners are very
– Well, it depends on if these coaches want certain – because you have to remember, Raj, the new coach has no allegiance to players.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So,
Right.
and I know fans can't get over
know
like losses and all that. Like they're traumatized of all the losses, and they see that all the time. They see Kyle's face. They see the loss of the fucking Super Bowl. Like I get it, but if you get this is what my whole point is, Aaron, and I'm getting to it is the 49ers are a attractive destination. If you get rid of Kyle Shanahan, and he'll get a job pretty quickly. I know everybody says that you'll be unemployed for 2 seconds. I understand that. I get that. Okay, whatever. 49ers are a very attractive destination. Do you think teams would not want to line up to go coach? There's Nick Bosa, there's Fred Warner, there's George. There's an abundance of talent. Christian McCaffrey. There's so much good talent.
Ayuk, if he comes back healthy.
Yeah, exactly. The teams, the coaches would line up, and maybe they don't want Brock Purdy. So then, yeah, they'd bring their own quarterback in. But the talent is there. It's kind of like when Jim Harbaugh took over the Niners. The talent was pretty much there. They needed a good coach and to fix Alex Smith, and that's exactly what happened. Jim Harbaugh came in. He walked into a good situation, and he's a great coach. And he taught his system, the defense, the run game, and the rest is history. And I think the 49ers would inherit a good coach in this situation because they have a good team. Now, if they had a bottom roster, like maybe the Panthers or the Saints or something, yeah, it'd be horrible. They'd fire the coach, and we don't know if they'd be able to rebuild this team. But 49ers are a good team. They're not going to get rid of Kyle. They're going to give him another opportunity because he's signed an extension. And he's probably got to get – I think his big move this year, get that damn DC out of there. Maybe get an OC. I think he's burnt out.
Get rid of your special teams coach as well while you're at it.
Get rid of him. And I think what people are realizing is Kyle definitely is – he's tired. Like you said earlier, he's spent, he's beat, he's weathered. He needs some help. Go get an OC. Go get a real defensive coordinator. Don't get this Jack in the Crack kind of DC and go get
puppets.
A real team
They're
coach.
puppets for the organization. The problem when you have a lot of vetted players who have say, they have we know about the clique on YouTube. There is a clique in that 49ers locker room of players who have a lot of pull with Kyle Shanahan, and Kyle goes to them. That's been talked about before. Yeah. And he pretty much knows that his players don't want to learn a new defense. So he has to bring in somebody that's player friendly. They got rid of Wilkes. They made him the scapegoat for losing the Super Bowl. And like I've said before, rightfully so. But you do that, and then you bring in a guy who has no business being a defensive coordinator in the National Football League. Yeah. And then you have Kyle sitting there and apologizing for him. They have to they need to do something that is uncharacteristic of the 49ers, and that's go outside the organization, get somebody in here who has a set of testicles, who can coach and be okay with getting in the face and teaching vetted players how to play ball. Because there's a little bit too much comfort on this team. And there's a little too much of we want to keep things status quo because it's worked in the past. Well, maybe it's time to change that a little bit because maybe it's worked, but you haven't quite gotten to where you want to go. So to me, I'm always open for a fresh interpretation of something, including a defense. Man, you're not feeling well, aren't you there, buddy?
Just got a little cough. I'm better now, but I was worse earlier in the week.
I'm sorry.
It's the change of weather. We're good though.
Yeah, I don't know. Anything else we got going on here, my man?
Let's take a look. So let me go through all these updates and everything. Yeah, I think the biggest news of the week was Christian McCaffrey, unfortunate. Isaac Guerendo, though, Kyle's giving him the vote of confidence. I mean, he has to, right? He
doesn't have a choice. He's the only guy we got left.
They did sign. Let's talk about this. So they did sign a running back this week. They claimed him off of waivers. They got Israel Abik
the Jets.
He's from the Jets. He was claimed off their waivers. This guy's got speed. I mean, he really didn't get a lot of opportunities with the Jets because obviously they got Breece Hall ahead of him, and that backfield is kind of tough to crack. But a quick guy. He ran like a 4.3 speed coming out of Pittsburgh. I'm intrigued by this guy. Maybe him and Guerendo could really put some work in and be the fastest duo in the league. So hopefully they can, get up to speed. I like him. I don't know if he's going to get a lot of opportunities this week because, he's just hopping onto the team. But I think eventually he might be someone that sticks. Dre Greenlaw probably won't play this week. He's most likely returning for the Rams game. I really want to see Dre Greenlaw, even if it's just for 1 or 2 games. We've missed him. We've definitely missed Dre Greenlaw. Devondre Campbell, this guy, he's bad. They missed the boat on linebacker. That was one of the biggest misses, is figuring out who was going to be that linebacker.
Well, they had Hendricks in the building, and then he decided to be, and then he went and played for Dallas.
No, you know why he didn't want him? He didn't want to go with this DC. The DC in Dallas, he knew he made the right choice. Honestly, he probably
true.
And he wanted to be the Mike linebacker. I mean, looking back at it, I was salty. I was like, what the hell, dude?
We all were.
Looking back at it,
I never thought of it about like that, Raj. You're right.
He made the right choice. He wanted to be the Mike linebacker. He wasn't going to be the Mike with Fred Warner here. And he probably thought Nick Sorensen was dookie trash, and he is. So, you know.
Hey,
and then we got Devondre Campbell. We settled for him. I don't know. That was a bad move. Nick Bosa, I hope he plays this weekend, because this pass rush without him is terrible. And then did you hear what Kyle said yesterday about Nick Bosa? He made it one of his little famous quotes. He made his famous quote. They asked Kyle Shanahan whether there's a chance Nick Bosa doesn't play the rest of the year. He goes, I'm not God, but I think there's a chance to play this week. So that means there's a chance to play the rest of the season. He's come on, man. You can't just tell the reporter he's not God.
Kyle still got it, guys. Kyle still got it. He's still a sarcastic a-hole.
He is.
You know what? What's your thoughts outside? Before I go, I'm sorry. Do you have any? You good? I mean,
yeah, you're good. That's it. I just want to get all that out.
Azeez Al-Shaair.
Oh yeah.
The whole situation going on with him. First of all, I miss him as a Niner. I miss that trio of linebackers. Boy, oh boy, were they good.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? I kind of have been teetering back and forth what really to feel about this. And the more I look at the play, it looks like a dirty shot. Like even slow motion, he really lowered his
he dropped the forearm, but he was trying, it's hard to pull back as a defensive player because it's going so fast. And you know, Debo was talking about on his podcast, and I've heard Richard Sherman. I've heard a lot of takes. At first, I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe he did that. Oh, my God, he's headhunting. And I think the more I look at it, I was like, well, you know, Trevor's the type of a quarterback that could kind of run you over. He's kind of like Josh Allen and Lamar, where they're big guys. They can run you down. But at the same time, he also likes to dive, and it's tough as a defender because you're going in, and then all of a sudden he dives. You're like, oh, shit. You can't just, change your trajectory in that second. So it's hard. I think they got to get rid of that slide, man, because that's kind of dangerous.
They need to make quarterbacks tackleable just like everybody else, and then that'll cause a lot of stuff to stop.
It's and Tom Brady made a good point. At first, I was like, no, and then I looked at it. I saw his opinion, and I was like, maybe he is right, because once you get towards a certain point, you're an eligible person to get tackled. Everybody is quarterback, wide receiver, running. It doesn't matter. You get the ball in your hand, you pass that line of scrimmage, you can get tackles. And I know they're trying to protect the quarterbacks, and that's a tough spot, but it's a very fine line. I do feel bad for Trevor Lawrence. I mean, that shit he's done. They put him on the IR. I was rough, man. Feel bad for him. And then Azeez Al-Shaair apologized. And then I feel like he took back his apology because did you see that tweet last night? He goes, y'all want a villain? I'll be your villain. The Joker paused. Okay, now you apologize. Now you're dropping that after they didn't grant your appeal. So I feel like he didn't really.
He probably thought about it. And he was like, you know what? I'm not sorry.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not sorry for that shit. So, I mean, he's a dog. But as football, you're gonna hit people. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, Aaron, they wouldn't have even been flagged or called or whatever. Ray Lewis used to do that. But I will say this, and a lot of people are like, oh my God, 3 games is a lot. I think Azeez has a history of, not saying he's dirty, but he's a tough guy, kind of like Greenlaw, right? They're tough guys. They hit you hard. They hit you in the mouth. He's had some incidents, choked to Tom Brady. I loved it when he was with the Niners. He hit Caleb Williams. There's another play. I can't remember the player, but he hits him on a sideline scuffle, and then now this play with Trevor Lawrence. So because of all those things, I feel like the league's like, well, we kind of owe it to you to suspend you for 3 games. And, Azeez, he felt a certain way. So that's why he made that post last night. And he's like, y'all want a villain? I'm the fucking villain then. But it sucks for the Texans because they got some tough games coming up. And he's like one of their best defenders. So I think they got the Ravens, the Chiefs, and I can't remember. They got one more really tough game in there. And it's like, are they even going to win? They need these games.
I was just thinking of that 49ers red zone. Yeah. Patrick Willis hit on Brad Smith. Dude, he got bent over like a lawn chair. He says, Raj, what if Brock calls audibles without Kyle's permission? And it worked. Would Kyle poop his pants or open the leash?
That's a good question. I think he would poop at first, and then the next time Brock does it and he gets it and it works again, I think Kyle will say, okay, well, maybe I got to trust him. I feel that's the one issue I feel with Kyle in the offense is he's so rigid, he's so strict, like he doesn't want anybody, going away from what he wants. We all know he's kind of he's got that ego and everything, and that's why he never really wanted to have an OC, and that's the thing. He wants to control things. I do feel like he should give Brock a little bit more freedom. If you're going to pay this man $50 million, he should be able to call an audible.
What do you think of Nick Wright's statement that he made that the Niners should go into the top 10 in the draft and draft a quarterback?
I mean, Nick Wright's been the D1 hater from day one. He's a hater of Brock. He doesn't believe in him. I don't think you need a quarterback. If you're going to go in top 10, please don't get a quarterback.
Niners have so many. Somebody made a comment somebody in the comments made a good point. He's like, Brock's not the only one having a down year. This whole team is.
Yeah.
This isn't a Brock Purdy problem. This is a 49ers organizational issue. They need to get more talent on their defensive lines. This is going to be a little bit of a retooling and a establishing and like getting some fresh blood in this place, whether it's free agents or draft picks. The Niners have gotten a little old.
Yeah.
They've had a good run, and now it's time to look what the Eagles did last year. Eagles lost their last 7 games.
Yeah, they were terrible. They were kind of the same. They kind of fell apart. A lot of injuries. It just didn't
finger pointing, everything.
Yeah, they thought Sirianni was going to be on the way out, just like we think Kyle's going to be on the way out. They kind of revamped. They got Saquon Barkley, fixed them up. Jalen Hurts didn't have a great season, but now everybody's saying, oh, he's MVP candidate, whatever. It's kind of like Brock, man. Brock had a great couple years. He's having a down year. That happens sometimes. I think the Niners, there's a few things, like we said, that they can fix and iron out. They can get back to that, but they definitely need to retool some stuff. If they were to trade up for a top 10 pick and get a quarterback, you're just throwing away there's so many issues that you can fix on this team. Like you're wasting resources. You need an offensive lineman. You need an edge rusher. You'd be setting your team so far back, Aaron. He's so stupid, man.
Nick Wright said LeBron was the GOAT back in 2016. I never took what he said seriously again. He has an agenda and is willing to sell his soul for it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't like him either.
He
He loves his Chiefs. He that dude waited years. He was probably a nerd that used to wear a Chiefs sweatshirt and get his pants pulled down and got wedgies and stuff. And then finally they won, and he was like, "Oh, now I can breathe easy and put shitty takes on TV, and everyone will love me." And it hasn't worked. So, but that's pretty much it, man. We've kind of ironed out everything here.
Let's see. Real quick, let's get to the Chicago game before we head out. So Niners, Chicago, 5-7 versus 4-8. Chicago. If there's one team that's had a little bit more drama, I guess, than the Niners, Bears. They fired their head coach mid-season. Niners win this game. You think they can win? Although the Bears have played pretty close their last few games.
I mean, the Niners have enough players on offense. I think that they could win this game.
The Niners. The Bears have played pretty close their last few games. Caleb Williams is looking pretty good these last couple of games, but he's a rookie. Their O-line's really bad. He's I think, overall through the season, he's the most sacked quarterback. So if Nick Bosa can play, that's huge for this team. But I don't know. What do you think? You think the Bears win this game? You think the Niners win this game? What do you think?
It's going to be close. I have no doubt in my mind the Niners can't blow out anybody. The Niners haven't been able to pull away from anybody, and the Niners have been inept in run. The two things that stands out with the 49ers this year is they can't score in the red zone and they can't stop anybody in the red zone. So to me, that spells close game. If the Niners can score some points, could be a shootout. But I think because it's the Bears and they're that bad, I say Niners win, but I wouldn't be shocked if they went the other way at this point. That would be the final nail in the coffin for this season. I think you'll start to see some business decisions be made about the organization as far as guys playing or maybe being shut down and stuff, especially if they are eliminated essentially from playoff contention. How much are you going to see of certain guys? That's all so this game has a lot riding on it. Like I said, the players keep repeating the same stuff about who we are is not what we're representing. Like who you've been seeing on the field is not what we are or whatever crap. So they have another week to go prove me wrong, but we'll see.
Yeah, I know you're absolutely right. It's gonna be a tough one. I think honestly, it's gonna be closer than I initially thought a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Chicago has a good defense, man. They keep them in games. It's all on Caleb in this offense. Can they get things moving? Can they, keep him upright? But with the 49ers, they really haven't had a pass rush. We talked about Nick Sorensen in detail today. Can he figure out how to get to the damn quarterback? I don't know if he can. Caleb's been playing hot lately. If the 49ers lose this game to Chicago, I think you're right. I think players like Nick Bosa, Trent Williams, probably not going to play in the rest of these couple of games. They don't want to risk themselves. They've been injured. Why put yourself through it if
I'm Trent Williams or Charvarius Ward, I don't even know how you go about caring about football, because when my dad passed away, I was in and out of work for a while. I couldn't. Some people mourn differently, and they're able to do stuff and they're able to focus because it takes their mind away from the tragedy.
Yeah.
I usually get mad at players, and Charvarius Ward, he just looks like a zombie out there, man. Like I don't even know.
I don't blame him. He definitely looked like he was in a haze on, but maybe he'll get. I don't even. I can't even.
I can't be mad. There's no way. Same with Trent Williams. That we were both mad saying he stole from the Niners. We had no idea what was going on. At home.
I feel bad now. I feel bad. I don't know if you noticed, but there was several people that posted it. They posted the news. Me, another big Niner content creator, posted it, and the 49ers official page posted the news. Within a couple hours, everybody took it down. As Trent reached out to us, and he's like, "Hey, can you guys take that off? It's private information." I'm sure he's like just trying to I don't know how he's going through. I can't imagine.
Putting stuff out there sometimes makes things worse because then you see it, and it's just a reminder.
Like Mooney was like, yeah, he wanted all the support, and he wanted to, have it out there. But Trent, man, he was like, nah, man, we got to take that down. And I was like, yeah, no, understand. He even 49ers admin, the post doesn't exist. And I know somebody that, works with 49ers social. He's like, oh yeah, Trent told us to take it down. Did he tell you? I was like, yeah, man, can't be having that out there. So it's unfortunate. I mean, I get that you don't want your private information out there. And that's the thing about social media. Everybody knows about everything. Like sometimes people know about stuff before it's even like posted, like retirement posts. People sometimes Adam Schefter will break your retirement before it's even before you even get a chance to make some, this guy's retiring. Like, bro, I didn't even get to announce my retirement. You know what I mean? So social media is crazy these days,
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's been that kind of year, man. I'm not surprised at all by anything. And I wouldn't be shocked if, like I said, they shut certain guys down and just, they really want to play next year and people want to come back and give this thing another shot at it, then so be it. But we'll see what kind of effort they give against Chicago will be a big time determining factor of what happens going forward.
This is it, man. This is it. I got the Niners winning this one. I think it's to be a close one, but I swear if Jake Moody, if he sells us out in this game,
I forgot about that.
I feel like it's going to come down to field goals. I can't have, if he sells us, you cut him immediately.
Well, that's one thing I didn't ask you with this stream that a lot of people were talking about, cutting the guy. They can't go into 2025 with him as the kicker. They can't, right?
Yeah, but they probably will because they invested a 3rd-round pick. Oh my God. That's the problem. That was always the issue is you drafted a kicker. There's so much pressure on his shoulders now. There's always pressure to begin with on a kicker. There's pressure on a kicker when you come in to hit a game winner. You put unneeded pressure by drafting him. I don't think you should have drafted a kicker like that. To me, you're wasting a pick. You could have got a lineman, something.
You can get guys off the street that kick better than this scrub, dude.
That's literally what they did when he was hurt. They got that Matthew Wright guy. Well, he was probably bagging groceries, man. And then now he's on the Chiefs.
Don't forget the ice in his veins. Yeah, okay. But all right, guys.
Have ice in his veins, man.
He don't have any pulse, man. He's like he's just a corpse out there standing in the
another
cold.
Guy. They hold it. Oh, they sing Kumbaya and they hold Jake. You okay, Jakey? You okay?
They probably talk to him after the game, be like, "It's okay, Jakey. We're gonna be okay, Jakey." They probably give him baby talk, Oh, God, hate that guy, man. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. We'll see you next week. Take care, everyone. Peace.